What's up, modifiers? Welcome to today's video, or should I say tonight, because it's pretty dark out there. Now, in today's video, we're going to be doing something on the truck that I've been waiting to do forever, guys. That's right, we got some headlights for this thing. Now, before I tell you any more, guys, and explain some things to you, I'm going to have to show them to you first. So let's take a look at them. And those are it, guys. Those will be the headlights we're going to be putting in the 4th gen. Now, those are OEM factory projector LEDs. Now, these headlights only come on the Laramie and up packages. I think it's the Laramie Longhorn, and then the Limiteds. Now, this truck right here is a Laramie, so why didn't they come with them already? It's a good question that you probably didn't even ask. This truck is a 2012. They didn't start carrying those lights or start offering them until 2013 and up, 2013, 2018. So I went and found these for an excellent price on Facebook Marketplace, not much at all, and those will be the lights we'll be going with for now. Now, I know they make a black pair of these, like this part right here that's chrome is all black and like only this part is chrome, but really I don't think that would go with the truck well, just because this truck has so much chrome on it, and in addition to the two-tone, I'm probably going to keep the chrome look, you know, maybe get some chrome wheels, and I think that's the look I'll be going with for now. Now, finding these lights proved to be a little bit difficult just because, you know, you got to find, or OEM ones at least, because you can get the generic knockoff versions all day long on the internet for around, I think it's like 400 bucks, give or take, depending on which brand you go with. But from what I've read, the OEM quality is better. They say the lenses on them are thicker. The plastic's better. They're just overall better housings than the knockoff, you know, I guess you'd call it OE stuff. So that's what these are. These are the Mopar. And you can always tell, guys, if it's a Mopar or a knockoff by these two symbols. Right there, you've got a Ram logo stamped into the side of the lens. And then down here, it says Ram. And then, actually, I lied. There's a third way. Over here, it's going to say Mopar. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that says Mopar right there in the housing. So, if you don't have those 3 markings like I showed you, then you probably don't, or you don't have OEM housings, which is good to know when you're buying some off the internet like me, or actually, if you guys are looking at trucks to buy, a good way to see if the truck's been hit in the front is to go through and to look for those markings. So we're finally going to be getting rid of this fishbowl here, and as you can see, all that condensation is on the inside of this headlight, and I've had problems with this headlight ever since I've bought the truck. I've actually seen some other Dodge Ram trucks that have problems with it. It seems like it's just this side headlight with the water inside of it, so I really don't get that. Of course, the one over here is perfectly fine. I mean, everything you see on it is just on the outside. I've never had problems with this light, but, you know, instead of going back with another light like that on the other side, I just took it as the perfect time to upgrade. Before we get started, though, we got to find the 10 mil, and you know how that can be, guys. 10 millimeters. Can't live with them, can't live without them. Just kidding, we actually need an 8 mil. Okay, guys, so with all that said, let's get to tearing this thing down. I can't wait to see what these projector LEDs are going to look like in this thing. I've waited for quite a bit of time to get these upgraded. I mean, that whole fishbowl water leaking in thing's been driving me crazy. So let's get started. Alright, so first up is removing the 2 bolts in here. Now, I've seen quite a few videos, and a lot of people say that the grill has to come off to do this. I'm not sure on the 1500s with the smaller, different shaped grills, but I know on the HDs you can in fact pull out the headlights without having to take off this grill, which probably saves a lot of time. The first bolt we're going to be going for is that one up top, and the ones I have paint markings on them a little bit. As you can see, it's kind of faded at the top, but they have paint markings on how tight or where to go with those, and I'm not sure if that's factory or not, but that's really useful because these plastic ears on headlights, or these headlights, can break or crack if you over tighten them, so that's good for retightening them. And then our second bolt is going to be right down in there. Get the camera positioned right there. That's down in there. Now that's the one that everybody kind of says you need to take the grill off to really get to, that and pulling the light out. So the first bolt's simple enough. I use a wobble extension just because it kind of lines up with the grill right there, but with a wobble extension you'll be good to go. don't forget to place all your hardware in your handy dandy built-in parts tray. Now that second bolt down in there, the one we talked about, the hard to get one deep down in the bottom of the grill, is the one you're gonna need like a 1 foot extension for. And this one's not a wobble just because I don't have a wobble that long, but it'll still work. If it's anything like my result, you're not gonna get the bolt when you pull the ratchet out, but don't worry, I've got a solution for that. So with that last bolt, I just used some of these flexible finger things. Just reach down in there, grab it, and pull it up, and that'll be the same way you'll put it back in. Lastly, we got this flap back here that we have to open up, and we'll go through just like this. Just kind of bend it in and pull it out. And then once in there, you're gonna see that plastic tab. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna take that tab and you're gonna pull it down with your fingers, and that's gonna release the light. So with the flap open, you're gonna have a white tab in there. Now with that white tab, you're gonna push it up, and that's gonna release our light. Okay, so the light is released now, it's loose. Now, it's gonna feel like there's another screw holding this in, but there's not. It's just kind of like a socket right here. And really, all you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to somehow pry in here. I wouldn't use any tools that are metal because you don't wanna scratch your paint, and just kind of pry in there, and you're gonna wanna pull this out. Now, usually you can do it by hand. Sometimes you might need, you know, something like a plastic scraper to kind of pry somewhere and get it popped out. There you go, guys. That sound is perfectly normal. It sounds like you broke something, but don't worry. That's just it popping out, and that's totally normal. So now, since we have it loose, there is nothing at all holding this thing in. So you're going to come out with this corner first, and then you're going to pull this around. So now that got our tab down here around our grill, and just like that, our grill's still on and our headlight's out. So now with the headlight out, we still have the wires holding this in. With those wires, you're going to take them and unplug them at the plugs, just because we're not going to be using the sockets that go into the lights themselves. So you have the red little locks, and you just pull back on those, on each one, and then you press down on the tab, and then they should come out. Might have to prop it against the bumper in your leg to get that plug out. You don't want to yank on the wires. That's one, and that's two. And then you also have some wire holders which just pull right out. And there it is. So here's the new housing right here. I've got it turned upside down on its head, or its face, and I have it laying on this cart just so I can get the wiring kind of how I want it. And this is what I've come up with so far. I've got the module right here. It's kind of curled up, tucked up in there because this light has the same holes for the factory supplied zip tie mounts that kind of just go into the housing itself that we unplugged or took out from the old one. Now, one thing on this harness, and I'll actually show you guys the harness separate. This harness right here, this is the other side. You'll see that it's got actually 3 wires on it. Now, the first 2 don't really tell you, which is low beam and which is high beam, but I do remember reading that the low beams on this truck are the ones that kind of throw the codes and won't work right unless you have this adapter wiring kit. So that's kind of what I guessed with as far as this module goes, is what this module is for. And then also this other side, which goes to the bright, doesn't have a module, and that one really doesn't have any problems working because that's still an incandescent bulb kind of still in there. It's not a projector. So I'll plug that in, tested it, that's correct. So just to let you know, guys, the one that has this box here is for your low beams or your outer lights. But the weird thing is this third wire here. Now this third wire, it's only one wire. It's one plug there. And I'm really not sure what it's for because there's nowhere to plug into the housings. Everything works because I've tested it. So the only thing I can think of is this third wire is a daytime running light plug, because I know some of these trucks from up north, I'm talking like, I guess, Canada, came with daytime running lights. And I'm guessing that if you have a Canadian truck, you have to plug this in for your daytime running lights to work. Now, instead of cutting it off or, doing whatever, I found some plugs for it because it didn't have a plug. So I found these plugs. These are just some plugs I had laying around. They actually fit really tight. So I think I'll be happy with that, just to keep water out, to keep anything from, messing up electronic-wise. And I'm just going to kind of route it into the conduit I have here. So as you can see, this one right here, I have it going up into the factory conduit, and I just kind of have it sticking out here with its plug. I think this should be good. You know, if this doesn't work, I'll just wrap it up and tie wrap it. Also, one more thing. It is good to plug everything in before you bolt it back in, and to test it, turn on the lights. Make sure your turn signals, your low beams, and your high beams do work before you get everything bolted back in. I've already done that, but I don't want to give away, you know, the final result, so I'm not going to show you that yet. Now with going back in, it's kind of like the same way taking it out. You just kind of start with, you know, dipping this inner part in and then going from the outside, and to make sure you have those sockets lined up to snap back in. Also, be careful when you're doing it, because since you have moved a lot of the wires around in there, make sure none of the modules or the clips are in the way of part of the frame of the fenders, you know, and you don't want to crack or break any of those new harnesses. Okay, so like I was saying, that setup I just showed you as far as the way I had the wiring went was interfering, hitting with this bar right here. So I had to go back through and reconfigure a few things, but I think this should work now just because it sits kind of flush with the housing itself. So we'll try that and see if that one works. Okay, guys, so there's the product that we've been waiting for. It's fully on. Well, not fully. We actually have to put those two bolts in there, which I wanted to mention when you're doing that. It's the reverse way. As far as threading that first bolt down in there, you basically use those flexible finger things that I showed you earlier to get it out with. You put it on that, and you can actually, you know, start the thread with those. So you really don't need to, you know, get your hand in there. But one thing I do want to mention is when I was kind of pulling it out and messing with it, this grill actually popped forward, or kind of popped out. And I was kind of concerned I broke it, but really the grill actually pops out. So you can pop this lower part out if it helps any. And there you have it. That looks awesome if I say so myself. Now, even though the turn signals and the side markers are LEDs, the projectors and then the brights, which is still just a bulb, not even a projector, is still an incandescent bulb. One thing I do want to do for this truck, though, in the future is probably go to LEDs. Now, I've read that LEDs are sometimes not that great in projector housings that are made for incandescents, but there's supposed to be some LEDs out there that actually work with them. We'll just have to see on that, though, just because I kind of want to get the LEDs in there for, you know, a brighter output of light. I mean, you can see right there, that's the light we're getting, which is pretty good. But, you know, the color of LEDs and the look are just unbeatable. I really didn't mention it much when I was installing the lights, but this is where I got the adapters, because to go to the projectors from the normal non-projector style lights, you have to have a conversion harness. And that's that harness, you know, you saw us, you know, having that third wire on and everything. Like I said, I didn't go over it too much, but that's what that harness was, and this is where it's from. So that's what you have to convert over to the projectors. So you guys can go over to Headlight Revolution and pick you up some of those adapters to get you some of them projectors on y'all's trucks. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's video, or should I say tonight's video. But I hope you really enjoyed it, guys. If you want to see more videos like this, such as possibly some taillights coming in the future, just letting you know, make sure you guys go down and like the video if you liked it, and make sure to subscribe, guys, and probably turn your notifications on, because we're going to be doing some more awesome stuff on this truck.